Hello and welcome to Sparks. My name is Deirdre Brennan. I am the Executive Director of RAILS, the Reaching Across Illinois Library System. This is the 40th episode of our podcast series. And we started doing this because we wanted to have conversations that we could share with our listeners and or viewers about important issues and initiatives that libraries are involved with today. So I have three guests today, and I'm very excited about our topic today. We have with us Layla Heath, who is also at RAILS. She is the Director of Library Resources and Programs. And then we have Lynn Stainbrook and Leon Smith. And Lynn is the Executive Director of the Rockford Public Library, and Leon also works at Rockford, and he is the Career Online High School Coordinator. So you can probably guess that we're going to be talking about Career Online High School today. And I'm really very glad to be able to bring this and give more information to the library community, because I really, really think it's an important program. So welcome and thanks for being here, everyone.
Thank you for inviting us.
Sure. So, okay, so we'll get started. I'm going to turn to you, Layla, and maybe you could tell us, what is Career Online High School, how RAILS is involved, just, anything you want to tell us about how we got to where we are.
Sure. Well, Career Online High School, or what we refer to as COHS, is a nationally accredited online high school diploma and career certification program that's available through participating public libraries. The libraries provide scholarships for the adult learners who qualify for the program. And I think as we continue our discussion today, we'll really see how this program illustrates the tremendous impact that libraries can have on an individual, as well as the community engagement and extraordinary connections that can result. So in Illinois, we have 1.4 million adults over the age of 25 who lack high school credential.
Wow.
And this, of course, creates a significant barrier to pursuing college, vocational training, career advancement, and other opportunities. So since 2017, RAILS libraries have been a part of the solution through the COHS statewide program. RAILS has covered the statewide access fees, and along with COHS provides support to the libraries. This support includes a designated RAILS administrator, special projects librarian Jessica Barnes, who can answer questions. She conducts networking meetings, as well as marketing materials and staff assistance from Smart Horizons, which is the parent company of COHS. As we mentioned, the libraries provide the scholarships, and these scholarships are available for students 21 and over to earn their high school diploma. And I also want to mention the cost of these scholarships is discounted for Illinois libraries, and there is no minimum purchase required. So in addition to those scholarships, the libraries offer a comfortable environment, resources, and just that ready assistance that helps re-engage adults who want to go back and earn their high school diploma. Oftentimes, these folks have experienced some educational trauma and just have not thrived in a traditional learning environment.
So just to be sure that I understand it correctly, so is it accurate to say that RAILS sort of provides a platform and then the libraries fund the scholarships at a discounted rate that RAILS makes possible? Is that?
Yes,
yeah,
that is accurate. Okay. And I think too, as obviously that cost of scholarships is always a concern, and something for libraries to consider. And I think when Rockford shares their story, we'll hear about some different ways of helping to fund those scholarships, even above and beyond the library's budget.
Great. So speaking of Rockford, I think we'll turn over to Lynn and Leon now. So Lynn, why did you get involved with this program? Why did you think it was important for Rockford and the city of and the library?
Well, back in 2018, when we were working on our strategic plan at that time, and we have since upgraded our strategic plan. We're still not working off of the 2018 version. But one of the things that became very obvious was some of the statistics in our community and the number of adults who lacked a high school diploma. And there were a variety of adult education programs out there, but there wasn't anything quite like this. And I think Leon maybe found it first in terms of that. And we're like, wow, this would be great. And the library funded the first 5 scholarships. And then I was at another meeting and happened to mention this. And one of our local businessmen picked up on it and asked a lot more questions about it and really became a huge sponsor in terms of this. And we've also learned a lot over the years. That first group of 5, I think we ended up with 4 of those graduating and 1 did not. We've sort of learned about, how to use the program best and who it really works for and who it doesn't work for. And there are other programs that are trying to get started in Rockford that have huge sort of what we call wraparound services, where they provide babysitting for somebody to come in for the classes, and they provide transportation, and they'll actually pay and that sort of thing. Well, we weren't able to provide all of those services. So this really does take people that have some desire to want to do it. But the good part also is that they can do it at home. They can do it on their own time. They don't have to be in a classroom setting at a particular moment. They can do it at midnight if that's what works for them, or 2 a.m. And so it has some flexibility with it. Leon's really been the one to go out there and recruit and to help the students. And maybe now would be a good time to sort of talk about when you found it and what it took at that point to start out.
Great.
Well, thank you for having us on. And one of the things about our program is, like Lynn said, it was easy access. It allows individuals to work at their own pace. And then here in Rockford, we have roughly 31,000 adults that don't have a high school diploma.
Wow.
And there are numerous barriers for individuals not actually being able to complete that their high school diploma or their GED. One being transportation, one having kids, and not being able to find childcare. So when this program came along, it just really fit, and we have a lot of individuals that's in our program that have graduated and in the process of graduating that wouldn't have if we didn't have the flexibility that this program has. And then we also have the ability to rent out laptops and hotspots to help those individuals who don't have the access to get it done. But it's a great program, and we started off with 5 scholarships. We're up to 109. We have 30 graduates. We have currently 51 students in our program.
Wow.
Unfortunately, we 5 didn't make it total, but we're still working to try to get those individuals through. But and we here at the library, we just believe that if you can get a good solid education, it's going to give you a good stronghold and foundation to be successful in life. And it was through through Rails and through Lynn's leadership that we was able to offer this program, and it has been successful.
I think it's so telling what you said, Lynn, also about how a local business got behind it, because it really has it's an economic issue for, it's about finding, people who, are skilled labor, skilled workers, which, they are in short supply today. And it's also about just raising up, residents' ability to get jobs.
But when we started out, the cost per scholarship was about $1,500. Now that's come down, so that's been very helpful. But Peter Provenzano, who was our local businessman, was $1,500. That's just an amazing low number, and we can really raise that. And really went out there and did a great job sort of publicizing and talking to others. And I think Leon as well, it really reaches out to the community, and it reaches into the churches, reaches into a variety of other ways that we can recruit students. And this past year, we were able to get a grant that allowed us to hire a half-time person. And we took one of our graduates from the program and hired her to be able to come in and do some of the statistic keeping, some of the paperwork that's involved in recruiting and getting students signed up, and that's been very helpful in terms of that. Alas, she's sort of left us, but that's okay, and we're going to continue to look for another person to help with that. But it was just nice to be able to offer to one of our graduates. It's great to see some of the graduates kind of go on and do a variety of things. The graduation events are just so meaningful. When Leon first came and said, I want to have, graduation gowns and hats and a real graduation ceremony. And I'm like, really? Do you think any of these adults will want to sort of go through that? Do you think they'll really want? I was a little hesitant, that, is this really going to be worth the funds to do this? But of course, he was absolutely right. And that is, if you know Leon, that is not a surprise. He really does know his audience. He knows of what he speaks. And there were a couple I think over the years who haven't come to graduation ceremonies. Most of them do, and they like having that hat. They like having all of that. We've had graduation speakers. We've had the ceremonies. We've done sort of all of the things that you do, and it's really inspiring to sort of hear some of their stories and to be part of that. So I feel very lucky that we found this, that it's a drop in the bucket, and we know that in terms of 31,000 people, and unfortunately more added to that every single year of students who drop out, who the traditional high school program does not work for them. But we've made a difference on, that 50 some people that are in the program now, that it's, so it's the old sort of story about, picking up the shellfish or whatever along the coastline. Is you can't pick them all up, but you save the life of one. Well, we made a difference in some of those. So Leon, you want to speak to?
Yeah, tell us some of the stories because they're very powerful, Leon.
Well, I have a bunch of them, but just some of the ones that really stick out. We had one of our students. She had lived her life. She was 52 years old, and she lived her life, and she assumed that she had received her high school diploma, because 7 days before she was supposed to graduate, her brother committed suicide. So her grandmother went to one of our local high schools and explained the situation. And so instead of giving her high school diploma, they dropped her. And so she went through her life assuming that she had her high school diploma until she went to transition to another job. They did a background check and found out that she didn't have her high school diploma. So that led to her losing her current job. And so she was unemployed. She was looking throughout the city for help. And she found our program, and we got her into our program. About a week into our program, her advisor called me with concerns about her taking her own life because of her situation. And so I contacted her, every couple of days or so, just to check on her and just to reassure her that she was going to get her high school diploma. And what really helped her was she had so many credits. So we brought those into our program, so she was able to graduate. And that just, that just lifted just a weight off our shoulder. Then we have a brother and sister that graduated. One was 70, one was 65. Both made promises to graduate to their family. They came from the South, they came from Louisiana, raised families, and they one graduated last year, one graduated this year. And then we have two students that graduated that started two businesses. One, she has her own food truck. One started a non-for-profit for her daughter who died from asthma, and they just helped to recruit. And what we see in our program is we see that students that struggled in high school are doing better now because they're sitting down as a family to do their homework. They see mom pursuing their education. They see the importance of education. So that really is really lifting up their household. In every graduation we are bombarded with more requests because there's a lot of people that's out here that need a high school diploma. And with the graduation and with our marketing department, it really helps us get those individuals in there. And then we have another student that should be graduating probably another month or so. He's like 22. He went through he tried traditional school. He was a junior. Didn't get any credits. His mother was at wit's end. She came to our program, and now he's about 65% complete, and he's working at his own pace. Working at your own pace and being available anytime. Stories of mothers getting up, in the middle of the night, just finishing their homework because they don't have nothing to do. We had one student that passed away, and we was able to get her her high school diploma. And her and her sister both was in the her and her daughter was both in the program. Mom passed and her daughter got their graduation, and mom was awarded her high school diploma as well.
And I just want to talk a little bit about, Leon reminds me of the ripple effect, because we definitely see that, not just in, I think it was the mother who died who started the program first and then got her daughter involved in it. But I was at an event recently and had the opportunity to meet the woman who now has her own food truck. And she was so excited, and she had in front of her her high school diploma and her food certificate, her food handling certificate, and had business cards ready with her barbecue food truck and talking about, but she also had other family members that were there that she was trying to talk them into doing that. And at another table, I sat down next to a woman who was, I think, almost graduating. She almost had everything together. And across from her were her two sons, and they were in their maybe 20s or 30s, something like that. And she, the mom, is sort of saying, they're both going to sign up. I'm going to get them involved. And I think both of them have by this time. And she's trying to get them to get their high school diploma. And these are young men who really will go so much farther. And we know in this town that apprenticeship programs in all of the trade unions, they pay very well, but you have to have a high school diploma in order to get into those. So you need this. It's like the key to open up doors and to be able to get into a lot of places. But that ripple down effect of the seeing not just adult children, but also the younger children sort of saying, boy, mom's really working hard on this, or dad, or auntie or whoever is working hard on this, and I should stay in school. It's important. You won't have to do this later on, and you can just stay in school and get the degree at this time. So, we have 100 some that are involved or have been involved, that you could probably multiply that times at least 5, if not 10, that we're impacting as well. So that's a very hopeful part of the entire program.
And then what we do is when people walk through the door, I just tell them, life happens. You're an adult, and most of our students are women who end up dropping out of high school due to pregnancy. And once they come to the door, I tell them, I said, whatever happened in the past, I don't care, but you're here to get your high school diploma. And my job is to help you get your high school diploma. Our program is a little different because initially there's 3 parts to it. There was a prerequisite, then there's another 30-day pacing period, then there's an actual awarding of the scholarship. And the way the program used to work is the library takes you through the prerequisite, and then once you get the advisor, they kind of hand them off. And we see them through all the way through the end, and make sure that, I keep in contact with them. I check daily, see who's logged in. If they haven't logged in a couple of days, then I reach out to them and see, just to encourage them.
It's just, I've been experiencing goosebumps many, throughout because of the stories that you've been telling. And I think, it reminds me that because what you were referring to really, Leon, I think, is that people are ashamed, and, life happens. And so the idea that somebody who feels ashamed of not graduating from high school, probably they're not going to want to go back into a school setting. And that's that just that atmosphere, just that idea of that school building, no matter how wonderful the people are, the teachers, but whereas a library, I think, is much, can be more welcoming. The fact that they can do it at home, I think, is another really great thing. And it just illustrates so well what libraries bring to communities. And it's just kind of overwhelming, all the good that you've done there. And we're I think at Rails, I can see Layla's very moved as well. It's just because it's, not only Rockford. I mean, obviously you are, if not the shining star, one of them of our involvement. But I know that, Fountaindale has had similar experiences. The Fountaindale Public Library District, they've had graduation ceremonies as you're describing, and local legislators have come to these ceremonies, and they're very moved. And go ahead, Layla.
I was just going to add a couple things, kind of in addition to what Leon and Lynn were talking about, and one of those things is just that effort to try to shepherd them through the program and be as successful as they can be. And when Leon even referred to that kind of 30-day qualifying period, that's in place really to just make sure everything's in place so that they can succeed. That includes that they're ready to handle things online, that, life is continuing the way that they thought it would when they initially started. And sometimes that 30-day qualifying period, they do not successfully move through that, but it's just that moment in time. And we assure them, come back when you're ready. It's okay and we actually we just had someone recently who came back a year later and they said, you know what, I'm ready now. And we said, that is great. Let's go for it. So, there is that opportunity. And overall, COH has a 61% graduation rate at Rails, which compared to a national average of a little over 50% is really quite successful.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yes. And so what Rockford, they're really even experiencing a greater success rate. So it's really exciting to see these strides, and those graduation ceremonies are just incredible. I mean, you just see joy, just pure joy and pride throughout the kids, the graduate, the spouses, the parents. It's just wonderful. When we're talking about size and some of the libraries who are participating, one thing that I wanted to mention too is that, Rockford is just a wonderful example of how they've engaged community and what they've done to really expand and really innovative things going on. This program is also accessible to smaller libraries as well. So in Rails, we have 20 libraries who have participated. And a couple examples I can give of some active libraries that are maybe a little bit smaller or medium-sized. Addison, with a population of a little over 36,000, has had 14 graduates. And Chicago Ridge, and their population is about 14,000, has had 11 graduates. And so, the program can be designed to accommodate all libraries of all public libraries of all sizes in the state of Illinois. So I just think that's a really exciting piece of it too.
Absolutely.
I want to mention, I think crucial and what really helps to make our program work is Leon's involvement and the staff involvement in doing that. But the Career Online High School advisors and instructors are absolutely wonderful online. And I don't know that I appreciated that until the last graduation ceremony that we had, when each of the advisors for those students had written a comment, and those were read out loud. at the graduation. And those comments revealed how much those advisors knew their students, what the struggles were, what was happening in their lives. It was just, and I'm on stage, so I can see the students' faces up close. There were lots of tears and people really struggling not to cry, but their advisors really know. So I do think the program does a wonderful job, remotely of handling that and knowing their students and helping their students along the way. And I'm sure that I know that Leon actually helps to facilitate part of that. And I would encourage, if you can have somebody who can help to coordinate that, you should do that as well. But it is a remarkable program. They really do a nice job. And that allows us to not have to be the teacher to know everything, but instead to be the one of, what can we do to help you? Are you out of internet service in your house at this time? And, it's the end of the month, maybe you've run out. Can we get you something? What can we do that can help with that? And Leon and really Corey really help a great deal in terms of this. But core to that are those instructors and advisors in the Career Online High School program, and they do a great job.
Thank you, Lynn. And I that is great, information for our libraries to have. Do you have other advice for that, things you have learned, or you or Leon?
Well, it's been a filling out process. We have grown, like I said, from 5 scholarships to 109 scholarships, but it's everybody involved is extremely helpful. And we got a meeting with a Rails meeting with Jessica Burns coming up here pretty soon, and we all kind of get together and share ideas and help each other out, and but it's an extremely valuable program. And it's another non-traditional way to get an education, but I just had a young lady come in yesterday that left the GED program and came to our program because she just didn't have childcare. So, it's just being involved, just looking out for your students and just working together.
Great. Well, I have a feeling that Layla's phone is going to be ringing off the hook. Because I mean, how can you not do it? That's my question. So how can other libraries get involved, Layla? Should they email you, call you? What's the best way to go about this?
There's a couple things they can do. They can visit the Rails Deals and Discounts page, and that's at www.railslibraries.info/deals. They can contact Jessica Barnes, our special projects librarian at Rails, and they can also contact me.
Great. Okay. And I'm assuming that people can also contact you, Lynn and Leon, as well, if they at the Rockford Public Library. Great. This has been amazing. Is there anything else that you guys want to add, Lynn or Leon or Layla?
I'm sorry, Lynn. I just wanted to mention that you have a great Career Online High School webpage on your website too, that I think is great for libraries to see. And there's, I think, a video too there that I think they would really find heartwarming and really great.
I just wanted to mention that our first graduation ceremony, I think we only had, did we have 3 graduates? And it was the graduates were shy. It was kind of like, especially when there were only 3, and I think only 2 turned up that night, or I can't quite remember. And it was kind of like, oh, should we do this again? I think that it was just that it was the first time. There were so few graduates. So you might want to scale your, I do think a graduation ceremony is really essential and really important to do, but you might want to sort of scale that to how many students you might have. And remember that for many of them, having more people there is actually more students, more graduates is probably easier than just being the first one in terms of doing it. We've had students who have been very good about going in front of the cameras and talking and doing publicity that way. But we've also had students who don't want to do that and who are like, I don't want my workplace to know that I don't have a high school diploma. Nobody asked, but I don't really want them to know that after all these years. So, you know, you do have to maintain some of their privacy and where they're at in their life. And is there more you would want to say about that, Leon?
Yeah, you know, and like we touched on it earlier, there is a shame that individuals didn't receive their high school diploma. And so, you know, what I try to tell them is, you know, it's there's nothing to be ashamed about. You know, we all have some things that we didn't accomplish, but the most important thing is that you're trying to correct it right now. But definitely I would say about the program, get your city involved, get your aldermen involved, get your mayor involved, because one thing we know is with education, lack of education comes crime, and it can affect your city. So it's beneficial to the whole city and the whole community to work on that the education problem.
Absolutely. Well, and thank you for inspiring us, me today. It's just absolutely fantastic the way you're changing people's lives, really, you know, in a fundamental way. So thank you, Lynn, Leon, and Layla, all those L's. I just realized that. It was really, yes.
I was just going to say, well, thank you for giving us an opportunity to talk to others and maybe encourage others to get into the program or to a similar kind of program to help members without the high school diploma in their communities. So thank you.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. We believe in it very strongly as well. So thanks for being a partner, a great partner. So, and thanks for joining me today for a great conversation. Bye.
Bye now.
Thank you very much for listening to Sparks today. Sparks is produced by the Reaching Across Illinois Library System. If you would like to learn more about the show or share your feedback on the topics discussed, please visit railslibraries.info/Sparks.